Hey world, this is Dave with Zero to Dev channel, and I'm here just doing my first of hopefully many weekly check-ins where I basically sit down and just go over what I've been doing and studying, what I have planned for the channel, and then whatever other little things I want to talk about along the way. So yeah, let's get started. So for the first thing is my FreeCodeCamp progress. As I mentioned in my inaugural video, I'm using FreeCodeCamp to go through, and that's basically really just functioning as a structure for what I'm learning. And that's only because why not? You know, I mean, and I'll talk about this in future videos where I talk about how to self-teach more effectively, but essentially all they're doing is getting rid of they knock out, at the bare minimum, they knock out a syllabus. You have what you need to learn kind of laid out, and if something's already there, why not make use of it? It's really not that hard to go out and just kind of, at least for me, it's not too hard to just go and find something I don't know about and just basically lay it out so that I can learn it. But once again, if it's getting done for you for free, why not take it? I do supplement with tutorial videos, and I do practice, and I do use references, W3 schools, etc., etc. You always want to make sure, if you're going to be self-teaching or doing any kind of learning, that you get information from multiple sources. You don't want to overwhelm yourself, but you also need to learn how to be able to get information different ways, because sometimes you might misinterpret something, or you might also just need to get clarification on some material, and I don't think a lot of people do that to an extent. I've seen the programming Reddit or the Learn Programming Reddit, and it's true. I used to think it was just experienced programmers giving people a hard time, but you see some of those questions, and I mean, wow, yeah, it's really just people just didn't use Google or something, because sometimes a lot of that stuff really is not that difficult to figure out. But in terms of how far I'm along, I'm about halfway through. Once again, I did do this, did most of the first certificate, I forgot what it's called, but it's the first one that is on the site that you do as as a beginner developer. I'm about a little over halfway with that one. So doing it again, obviously I didn't really remember much of what I learned before, so a lot of this material was pretty much new to me. I'm really not that far ahead of people. I did study programming for a little bit on my own years ago. I've always learned it on and off. I watched the Bucky videos a few years back on C++. I mean, they were fantastic. I really recommend looking at the Bucky tutorials. He's with the New Boston. The channel is still up. I don't think he does anything with it anymore, but at least for the layman, if you want programming concepts explained to you in a really relatable fashion, I still think the Bucky tutorials are really good for just going through it. You don't have to worry about the syntax. Just listen to what he's teaching in terms of the ideas, and then take that and then go watch whatever other tutorial, because a lot of other videos will either go over things too quickly, or if you do the references, they're just way too academic and none of it makes sense if you haven't already learned the material. So I highly recommend that. But hopefully with my channel, as I make my own videos, I'll be able to bring a little bit of that in and make information that can take some of these higher level concepts, or even just basic concepts, and make them more relatable so people can understand. And also I'll try to keep a good eye on understanding that me, and as well as many other people doing this, will be at a different level than maybe someone who's been doing it for years and years and years. And I'll try not to skip over information that I think other people might think or might assume you can just kind of gloss over, but it'll trip people up otherwise. So I'll keep that in mind for future videos. In terms of what else I'm doing in terms of self-studying, as I mentioned before, I'm only doing it at least a couple hours a day, about 2.5 hours. Yesterday was a bit different. Yesterday I started practicing. I'm taking a few days off of FreeCodeCamp to just review the material and to get practical experience. I've been following along with those, make a HTML, CSS page tutorials that are out there on YouTube. And realistically, if you're following along just watching the video, okay, yeah, the thing only takes an hour, but when I did it, it took me like 4 or 5 hours, man, to just make like a 3-page layout. But because you're going out there and actually doing it, you're having to pause the video, etc., etc. It's rewarding work, but it definitely takes a bit of time. You definitely do have to commit time to this. to learn it. I don't think it's impossible to learn with a limited schedule. I do think it might take a bit longer, but that shouldn't stop you if you really want to do this for work. So in terms of what tutorials I'll be working on, I have a couple planned out and set to be releasing hopefully this week. One of them is going to be on Atom, the editor I'm using right now, actually. This is Atom right here. It's fantastic. I can't recommend this highly enough. I actually really like Atom a lot. I was using basic editors before using Atom. I've only had it for a couple weeks, but it's pretty good. I like it a lot. I see a lot of people use it in their own videos, and the usability of it is fantastic. I don't want the video become an ad for Atom, but if you're going to be doing web development, I definitely recommend using this editor. Is why it's the one I picked to do the tutorial for, and it's going to be a pretty straightforward, no frills, get to the point. Like, I will literally show you how to download it, install it, open it up, shove all the junk that it throws in your face away from you, and it just gets started. By the end of that video, you'll be able to just navigate through and just do the most basic stuff you need to do to get started, coding right away. So that'll be really nice. I really am looking forward to having that out for you folks, because I do think it cuts through a lot of the junk and just gets you whatever, because everyone's excited about learning this stuff. It's fantastic. It's great information. And so their welcome screen has a lot of nice things, and sure, maybe on a weekend you'll want to take 4 hours or whatever to go through all that, but most people, when they install it, I feel just want to get straight to the point and start working, and that's essentially going to be what the tutorial I make is going to be doing. I also plan on releasing a basic review video on anchor tags and links in HTML. And, it's something that you can use for a quick reference, maybe keep in the background if you're just a student or whatever, learning or reviewing, making your own page, and you just want to see quickly how to do a thing or another. I'll include the source code in the video, so that way you folks can have a little cheat sheet and a reference there. Anchors and links aren't that difficult. When you're first starting, though, of course, it's going to be a little bit trickier to remember. So I do have, I will be talking about a little memory trick I use to remember snippets of code. I'll share one with you for anchor tags and links, so that way you folks can remember to associate links with the anchor tags. I remember when I was really first starting out, I had a hard time remembering that links were anchor tags, and if you put link in your code by accident, it actually does a completely different thing. It might not even work right. It definitely won't work right, because you won't be entering the right attributes. So I'm definitely looking forward to that video. Once again, a lot of these, especially as I'm starting out, a lot of these are going to be very basic, very, very, very basic review and practical skill review videos, but as time goes on and I get more experience and knowledge, I definitely look forward to be sharing more and more higher level content. As I said, in my previous career, I was a tradesman, and I did have to do a lot of self-teaching. I don't know if anyone else might have worked in construction or something similar before, but at least in this country, I've heard it's different in other countries, but at least in this country, a lot of it is still very old school in terms of how people learn things. Yeah, there's apprenticeship programs, etc., sure, and there's schools, whatever. People can say whatever they want, but the reality is, when you're working construction in the trades, you're learning, the vast majority of it takes place on the job site or through whatever company or manufacturer resources you can get. Really, very little of it takes place in the class, and a lot of the stuff you learn is very basic. Like, for example, if you're trying to learn about a water heater, a textbook in a trade school might teach you what a water heater is, but you have to learn how to work with that specific one from the manufacturer's data, and you need to learn all the safety stuff and how to work with it practically with a guy in the field or a journeyman. So I'm really looking forward to sharing a lot of the material that I have learned in terms of how to teach yourself and how I've been applying it to code, so that way we can all learn more effectively and get further along. But other than that, pretty much pretty straightforward. Just wanted to share that information with you folks, go over how things have been going. I'm pretty confident about everything, and I'm hoping you folks are too. If you are someone who is just starting to get into this field or is interested in the field, whether you're an adult or a young person in high school, etc., or just trying to transition, then I really highly recommend you like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next week.